Welcome back to Within the Paragon. This is officially the second season. I'm your host, Jake Stanley. Today's drink of choice, I think, goes perfectly with my guest today. It is simply a glass of water in one of these nice glasses, a Stella Artois glass. And I put just a few berries in it because this person likes to keep things as natural as possible. And so I present someone you may have seen on social media, known as Liquidverve. Today's guest is a photographer that does many different types of things you probably have seen before, from cosplay to natural art, beautiful pictures. Give it up for Alex Miller. What is up, Alex?
How's it going?
Good. Do you think that drink works with who you are? I mean,
I'm drinking water, so you've just got a fancier version of what I have, which I appreciate, plus one. That's nice. Yes.
just making it fancy. I love this glass. It's so big, it's like bigger than my head. Well,
Yeah.
So the reason why I said that is because one of the things I remember when I was doing my research is, you like to use natural light with all your work, right?
Yes. So sometimes when I'm shooting at night, then I have to use artificial light because sun's out. But usually I like to use the sun and reflections of the sun via like a bounce board. And I like to shoot with that because I just think the sun has a quality of light that I feel can almost not be emulated with artificial light.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, your works are stunning, to say
You're
the
so
least.
kind. Thank you.
I think there's a lot of people that have those kind of talents with photography and whatnot. We'll just hit on a couple points real quick because it's really not about talking about all the work. It's raising awareness for what you do first. People tend to enjoy these photos. What do you think is the one thing, besides the fact that it's visually captivating, what do you think are the things that make people want to see what there is that you have out there? What is the capture point, you think?
Well, I definitely think it's the fantasy aspect of it that people enjoy the most. I would like to think that social media is definitely a form of escapism, as is all technology. And so a slight distraction from reality can be really nice, especially if it's something that we enjoy fantasizing about anyway. So a lot of the work that I do is kind of in the cosplay region. I do some, Marvel and DC, but also just kind of more feminine fantasy. So hopefully there's something in it for any type of person. Yeah.
Right, nice. Speaking about that, I think it was kind of cool. You have a number of people that you work with shooting, I guess you could say, different models.
Mhm.
How did you find these individuals?
So I pretty much, there are two people that I work with a disproportionate amount, and then I do like working with other people here and there. These two people are ironically both named Caitlin, and they're both redheads, which is really weird. So that's sketch. But we've had relationships shooting together for now almost 4 years. And the first one, we knew each other as people first. We went to school together, and then someone recommended that we shoot together. We went out and shot. We just had such a phenomenal time, both interpersonally as well as creatively. And so we decided to just kind of keep shooting together, and just got increasingly better, because I think the deeper the relationship is with the person that you're shooting with, the better the communication, the higher the potential for the art. And so you kind of grow your skill sets together. And then kind of the same thing happened with the other Caitlin, the one that does a lot of cosplay. We actually did her very first cosplay shoot together. It was a Daenerys cosplay from Game of Thrones. So I didn't shoot any cosplay at the time, and she kind of showed up and she was like, "Hey, can we shoot this blonde wig?" And I was like, "I can't." Okay, yeah, sure. And so it kind of happened on accident, and then we just kept shooting cosplay, and it became her full-time thing, and then now it's kind of more of a full-time thing for me. So just,
How many years ago was that?
So that was about 3.5 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
That's cool. Because I noticed recently, I was like, oh, when I saw it was Caitlin, yeah. When I saw the picture, I was like, wait, because I hadn't seen the movie, The Eternals. I hadn't seen it. And so I still haven't seen it. And I need to see it. And I ended up, so I was like, wait, is this she in the movie? Like, did you get a chance to shoot somebody in the movie? But
Oh,
it was just that good.
thank you
Just that
so
good.
much. That project was actually commissioned by Marvel, which was really cool because, of course, our dream as artists is to do the work that we do anyways, but get paid for
Mhm.
it. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what that project was because Caitlin and I wanted to shoot something for the Eternals anyways. And so it was a huge privilege to be approached by Marvel and, you know, have them commission
Yeah.
that. So that was
Very
cool.
cool.
Hmm.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. And apparently, it's a big thing on TikTok. Switching over to that, you saw that's definitely where
Yeah.
it's happening right now.
Right. I mean, all forms of video content, right? So there's TikTok, and now we have Reels on Instagram that are really taking over the platform. You can tell like 90% of your feed is just turning into video, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's also now YouTube Shorts, which a lot of people are becoming very successful on. And it's kind of a strange space to break into. You can tell they're still very much in beta in terms of their functionality. So it's changing very rapidly.
Yeah. Well, hey, and it seems like everything is too.
Yep.
And another thing that changed was your life. Let me be specific. You're like, what is he talking about? You were born in
Germany.
Germany,
Mhm.
right? Was there a difference between that beginning? You were like 16 when you came over, and so was there any difference when you moved to the States that kind of changed who you are today?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I wouldn't recognize myself. I have nothing in common with the person I was at the time. I actually went by different names, so have
Oh,
nothing in common with her. But I definitely, I'm sure everyone who moved out when they were young-ish agrees. It really shapes your personality to leave home at 16. I ended up going to college at 17, so I moved to LA when I was 17. And it's a completely different place to be than Berlin. So uh, just lots of opportunity for kind of finding my own identity. My parents are both doctors, so that's the household I'm coming out of. And then I was like, I'm going to go to film school, and they're like, what is that? So it's a good time. And then I did film school for 4 years, and then found photography in my last year of film school, and I realized that pretty much everything that I studied I could apply to still photography, but I would have a career that I would enjoy so much more. So my studies didn't go to waste, and I was able to bring a lot of relationships into, like, a lot of work relationships I was able to apply to photography. And so it was just a very effective move, and I got extremely lucky. So I'm very, very, very thankful and fortunate.
That's awesome. One thing I am curious about, tell me this, what kind of photographer are you? I find that the ones that can guide you as you're shooting, they're the easiest to work with. Where would you put yourself? What kind of a photographer would you
Um,
classify yourself in
I'm
as?
pretty full spectrum. I work with a lot of people who don't need any direction, then I won't give any direction. But I also have worked with many, many, many people who had never really been in front of a camera at all. So I had to direct them from the ground up. So that's something that I learned actually in film, because you learn how to direct actors. So learning how to give direction in photography is pretty much the same thing,
Mm,
both physically and then emotionally, or if there's any story behind it. So that's definitely a process that I enjoy a lot, and that is very much so facilitated by, again, having pre-existing relationship with somebody and having shot with them before makes it so much easier to direct them to do complex movements such as hair flips or hanging off the side of a building or something like that. So
yeah. Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
yeah.
Everything that you said already up to this point, well, it's great. And I think it's great to learn about people. There are things, though, that only questions like the ones I have in my hand can reveal about, can reveal
Okay.
about a person.
I'm ready.
What food should taste better than its appearance?
Ooh. Oh man, my Italian friends are going to kill me for this. Pasta. Just in general.
Wow. That was truth. Truth. I'm curious of what they'd say too. I mean, how can you do this to me?
I don't know. I have a lot of Italian friends for some reason, and they take their pasta really seriously, which I understand, and I fully respect that. Same with pizza. I'm not that much of a pasta and pizza person, and they tend to take that very personally. So, yeah.
Yeah. Food. Did you ever shoot food before?
I've never shot food. No, it's a couple of years back, I dated a photographer. He was an incredibly talented food photographer. And it was insane how much goes into that and how much fine tuning and skill there is involved in food photography. It is beyond me. So heavy respect, never done it.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Totally. Yeah.
My neighbor used to be my previous neighbor was a photographer and did food photography. And it was just interesting to see some of the tricks they had up their sleeve.
Right.
Food,
crazy.
Yeah, it's a completely different world.
It's
but
really
I'm
cool.
sure there are tricks to every trade.
Absolutely. But in food, it's actually so fascinating because it's something that everybody sees and knows on a daily basis. Like we're all very familiar with food, and then to understand that what was going on behind the scenes is totally different.
You're like, oh my goodness, I ate that, or it's crazy. Yeah, that's scary too sometimes. Your attitude and the way you act, as I see right now, is just very like chill. So it's real cool. It's real relaxed. What shows that you have a balance in your life. Obviously, you're good at what you do, but it's not all you do. You also have fun and do stuff. So when's the last time you've felt your biggest adrenaline rush?
Oh, that's really funny. I drive kind of like a maniac. I'm German, so I weave. Very into German cars. I like going fast. I've almost got myself in so many accidents this week. Honestly, none of them were my fault. But it's like when you're in the very leftist lane and you're right next to the banister and somebody's merging into your lane without signaling and they just don't see you because you're in the blind spot. That happened to me so many times this week. No adrenaline. Then I was playing Minecraft. I almost fell off the ledge into one of those deep pits. Huge adrenaline rush. That was scary. Yeah, Minecraft gets me. Gets me. I don't know why.
And it was a number of times this week, you said? A number of times?
The car thing, yes. I also double drifted my car a couple days ago. That was bad. That was my fault.
It's like getting the nitty gritty of the Paragon. Okay. Now, this is my favorite question to ask guests. What is the most useless talent you have?
Oh, I have so many. Useless talents. I mean, I'm really good at headstands. I'm a great calligraphist. It comes in handy though when you're trying to write cards, when you're going to parties and stuff, then it's really useful all of a sudden. But otherwise, what are you going to do with calligraphy? You know what I mean? I'm really good at painting my nails, which is weird because I'm not a very feminine person. But I paint my nails now, and they always come out perfectly. So that's a really useless talent. Yeah, people think they're acrylics. I think that's my biggest brag, probably.
Wow. Well, if I was closer, I would let you paint my nails. I've never
really?
let anyone paint my nails before, but because you just said that that's a useless talent you have, I would love to just help you use that a little bit.
That means the world to me. Thank you. I don't think I've ever done somebody else's nails. I've only ever done mine, but they look nice.
You heard it here, guys. I said it. Like it can happen. I mean, it can happen. There's been stranger things to happen.
Indeed.
Talent, it always goes wasted at times. So many people have these things they're good at, and then it's just they find another thing in that they do that's just so good. It trumps the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of skills are just more marketable than others. Definitely.
You said calligraphy.
Yeah.
You got some fancy pens?
Ironically, not as many as I would like to. Yeah, I have a couple fancy pens, but I kind of am a minimalist. As you can tell, I don't have any furniture. So I don't like owning a lot of things.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
It's
so
simple. Again,
perfect. Yep, back with the water.
I mean, I've never had water as a drink on this show, by the way.
Really?
Never.
Oh man.
I've never had water on the show ever. But yeah, guys, I'm not an alcoholic. It's because I find that it's a great it's a great icebreaker. People are in a relaxed state of mind. Usually when I do it, it's later at night when I'm recording, and so it's but it's daytime, and yeah, I like to put a little thought into who the guest is and try to match it up to their personality or persona.
That's
based
cool.
on what I kind of see it as, I guess. So
I'm honored to be water. That's all I ever drink, so I enjoy that very much. Thank you.
Me? Water?
Liquid? What? I guess that would be anything. So.
One of the things that I think is really cool is that you like to free dive.
Oh, yeah. Dang, you really did your research.
Well, the internet, you can get a hold of pretty much those things, but that is a cool thing. Tell me a little bit about that, because I'm an ocean baby and I live in the ocean. So
that's awesome. So I get super anxious when I get too far away from the water. Like desert freaks me out a lot. Love the ocean, love the beach, love swimming, diving. I'm scuba certified. I've gone scuba diving many times, but I've never been, I don't even know if you can be certified for free diving. I've never done any professional free diving. I've just done free diving with like me, myself, and I, and some like guidance. So the deepest I've ever been is, I think, only 33 feet. So it's amateur free diving, but I love it and I enjoy it very much, and it makes me very happy. So yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I just love it a lot.
Well, then let me kind of ask some things. Okay, so because people say, I like to sing a lot. People say, wow, you can hold the note for so long, like because they're like, these dudes' lungs are like, steel lungs or something, and it all comes from being in the water, like surfing, right. Being in the water and everything. So it's just constant, like holding your breath. It's practice all the time. But when you free dive, that's another level. Yeah,
I mean, to me, it's all kind of. It's weird because I also do martial arts. I do Tai Chi, and I do a lot of breath work in those. And so I notice even breath work such as slower breathing, where you slow each breath down to a count of, say, 30, 40, whatever, that kind of breath work still contributes to then your ability to hold your breath for 3-4 minutes, whatever, because it's all just about slowing down your heart rate and like that anaerobic ability to still like move on a lack of oxygen and like space out your energy and the consumption of the oxygen. So I don't know. I think it's all kind of the same thing. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. Well, there's a lot of harnessing of the energies in your body in the certain areas you need them to be so that you can
exactly
accomplish.
So you cannot die. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you can not drown today.
Well, and I've always, this is seriously, I've always wanted to free dive. Always.
So you never have?
I never have.
Oh, I'm so surprised if you're.
Yeah.
But do you scuba dive and snorkel?
No, I mean, I mainly just surf.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never surfed before, so.
Yeah. Okay, trade off. Okay. So if you teach me to free dive,
heck yes.
Or teach me what you know of free diving, I could teach you what I know of surfing.
Well, this doesn't look very good because free diving definitely has a much higher risk of death. So if I accidentally murder you, I don't know how that's going to look.
Nobody will know. Nobody will know.
We have video evidence right here.
Oh yeah, no. And he was never seen again. Yeah, it just fascinates me because when you hold your breath is one thing, but you float when you hold your breath. So
You
with
mean like you
freediving,
rise to the surface?
well, when you hold your breath, I can't sink.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends because obviously, when you just obviously there are different intentions for free diving. Sometimes you want to just be in the water and explore. Sometimes you're just going for depth, and then you go straight down and you kind of just fight the buoyancy. And then obviously at some point you also start expelling air. So you can either do that on your way down, which then makes the way up less pleasant, or you can hold on to the air, which makes your ascent much quicker. Again, I'm not a professional, so to give
No,
this as advice, please.
I'm
But
like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Just
no,
taking notes here.
please be safe. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, I'm a smallish person, so it's probably very different. Like a larger person would be considerably more buoyant in general. Um, yeah.
See, it's like that. It's subjects like this, like it's not anything to do with your profession. It's just like normal stuff that you can geek out about, you
I love
know?
that.
Geek out about something, you know? It's being passionate about something that nobody would really, maybe the normal person wouldn't, you know? What is one ability you believe everybody should possess?
I mean, this one's really obvious, but communication, which is not a small ability either, but I just feel like nobody really learns it deliberately. I mean, some people, go out of their way, but I just wish it was taught in school. That'd be nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Communication is, well, obviously there's a lack of it.
Mhm.
So, what are the negative effects, besides the obvious effects? What are the negative effects that you see that you're
I
kind of
mean, I
affected
think
by?
I think the largest issue is that people neither understand each other nor want to understand each other. So it's both sending and receiving issues. I think we're very bad at decoding language and nonverbal communication. Um, so that's why I think people talk right past each other. We're also extremely bad at expressing, our emotions and our thoughts, sometimes even to ourselves. So then it makes it incredibly difficult to transmit
Hmm.
that information to another human being where we're using language, and language is messy. It's not telepathy.
Right.
So we're trying to fit like all of this into this somehow. And when that skill set isn't really there, and isn't really refined, then people just live right past each other, sometimes for years at a time, and don't understand each other. And I think it causes just so many issues and so much isolation. I think so many people, especially, in the modern day, people feel so lonely, unseen, unheard. So many people want to leave because of that. It makes them think that life as a whole isn't worth it. And I think it's just an interpersonal issue because people are self-isolating, um, and becoming so hyper individualistic based on bad communication.
Most definitely. And honestly, the state the world has been in the past couple of years has only made it worse.
Yes, definitely. And you see it getting more extreme, especially in online communication, as everything is moving from less of in person to more online. And yeah, it's gone from like good communication to conversation to just polite words that mean nothing, you
Mhm.
know? So then why even bother?
That's a good breakdown of that, though. Very assertive. Like it's just, yeah. And then that also makes your group of friends, the circle you have, so much tighter,
Right.
doesn't it? So then they're like truly your ride or dies.
Right. Right. And then, but it also, I will say, then it puts a lot of pressure and strain on those relationships because
Mhm.
then you become potentially reliant on them. You weigh too much onto them. And I do think that things should be ever growing, ever expanding and changing. And I do think in the modern day, it is extremely hard to build new relationships, no matter whether platonic or romantic or work relationships or whatever. It's just so hard because it's so difficult for people to initiate that like communication connection where people understand each other.
So what is the thing that you notice first about somebody? First and foremost, what do you notice about somebody besides the outward appearance? What is the thing that stands out most to you about people individually in general?
I would say this is going to be really random. This is just an intuitive response. I've never been asked that question before. Stress level, and what can be done to alleviate the stress. Because I think when there's stress in the way, the quality of communication deteriorates really quickly. And I think anxiety is really common in the modern day, and people have different anxieties relating to different responses to different things. So I think when two people understand each other in terms of when they are the most relaxed, then that is the space that they can then create and build to then find communication within.
Wow. That was nice.
Thanks.
The reason why I said it is because that was an intuitive response. Like that was like on the spot.
Yeah, I've never been asked that before, so I didn't know how that was going to go.
Yes. See, I love that. I love when there's something asked that you've never been asked before, or anybody's. I love doing that. It's just like, ooh,
super cool.
Because it's like something that somebody holds dear to themselves, and everybody's different in that way. Like there's just so many things that we all have about ourselves that most people might not know.
Yeah, nobody will ever see. Sometimes we don't even know. Like I didn't know my own response to that question, so thank you for that.
Yeah, no, for sure. What is something though that's true that nobody agrees with you on? Is there?
So like an unpopular opinion?
Possibly.
I know a lot of things that are unpopular opinions, but people still agree with me on them. I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't know if I... I got one. I think it is fully okay to be someone who creates art that does not consume art. And that is something that people do not agree with and do not like and do not digest well. Like you can be a filmmaker without watching movies. You can be a writer without reading. You can be an artist without going to galleries.
Yeah. You can be a barista and not drink coffee.
Yes. Yeah. That is a very sincere belief of mine, and that's something I've always represented. And people are like, yeah, sure, but then they don't really get with it. So
what's your reason for that?
I think that the more we consume something, the more likely it's going to affect how we produce. It's that simple. So it's the same thing as the design minimalism. The less I see, the more I make.
Okay. Well,
but
that's a very artistic approach.
It's a little strange. I don't know. I also have an overactive imagination. So the more I see, the more confused my brain gets. And then it just tries to create, weird, it doesn't go great. So then I try to clear it out and just make a blank canvas. And then it's much easier for me than like a paint by numbers, if that makes sense.
Sure. But that actually makes things more interesting though, in my opinion.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's kind of boring otherwise. It seems like you always test the limits within yourself, and there's no real wall with you.
I hope so.
That. There's no wall. Yeah. You're just like, yeah, let's go. Let's bust a hole in this wall and keep going. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, Liquidverve. How did you come up with that name, Liquidverve?
Well, I have done a lot of different worked with a lot of different art mediums over the course of my life. It's weird because I would generally definitely consider myself much more of an intellectual than a creative person, but then I've done a lot of creative things. But I've been playing music since I was 3. And then I got into film when I was 7, and I started painting really early. And now I do photography. And so verve is a synonym for just vigor, passion, enthusiasm. And so I feel like I bring that to anything and everything that I do, no matter what the medium or what the format, or even whether it's like, sports or people. And I just feel like I have very liquid and flexible passion for anything I approach. So that's kind of who I am.
That's cool. So that's all inclusive, basically, of who you are.
Yep. It's like a little summary.
That's cool. I think
Thanks.
people have actually referred to you as Liquidverve. Is that correct?
You mean just like when they address me?
Well, not exactly when they address
Because
you.
people do that, yeah.
It's Liquidverve. It's like, oh, yeah.
Well, a lot of people also think I'm a guy because most photographers are male, most portrait photographers specifically. And so a lot of people kind of just call me Liquid. I'm like, that's definitely not my name. So yeah, no, people do address me like that.
Well, that's different. But you're like, I'm kind of used to it by now. So
Yeah, it's just
it
how it
works.
is. It's the internet.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, well, I'll definitely leave these socials. People can find you and check you out. And it's awesome having you on the show.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for your questions.
Oh, of course. Thank you. And we'll catch you around. See you, Alex. So that was Alex Miller, everybody, from Liquidverve. You can check out the links below and check her out. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. I'm your host, Jake Stanley. This is Within the Paragon.